we're gonna shoot out the bullet in the top of the gun, as you can see. Okay, I'm gonna leave of this sprite in the description, you can go and check that out. Okay, let's get into this. Go to assets, right click, create c script, name that to something like shooting, and select the player game object. Okay, and drag that shooting script into that game object. Okay, and I already have drag it, so double click that to open up in uh, uh, Visual Studio. So double click that. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna make a separate function for, we don't need this start function, we're gonna get rid of that, and we're gonna use this update function. And as you know, update function calls every single frame, so that's why we're going to use that. And we're gonna go to down, and we're gonna make another function. For function you have to type void, and we're gonna call it shoot, or fire you can call it. Make this first bracket and this curly brackets. So what we're gonna do, if it's working or not, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna print out a message in the console. So we're gonna go over to update function, and we're gonna check, okay, if input, okay, input dot get mouse button down. Okay, so we're gonna pass a 0 in the bracket. 0 basically means the left mouse button, and 1 basically means the right mouse button. So we're gonna check for left mouse button, and we're gonna make this curly bracket. So basically what we doing, if we are pressing the left mouse button, as you can see, if input dot get mouse button down as 0 basically means the left one. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna call this function, and in that function what we're gonna do, we're gonna firstly check debug.log. if we're gonna print out message, so we have to type debug.log, and we're gonna call it something like shooting or fire, sorry, shooting. Okay, and close that off with semicolon, and control s on your keyboard. So whenever we press the left mouse button, we're gonna call this function for it shoot. And what this function is doing, it will print out the message in the console, as you can see, debug.log shooting. So we need to call that. So we're gonna call it whenever we press the left mouse button. So name the function and make this perfect case, and close that off with semicolon, and control as on your keyboard to save this and add again to Unity. Okay, and select the console and hit play in the top. Okay, so whenever you press left mouse button on your keyboard, that function will call, and that function will print out the message in the console which is shooting. Okay, you can write whatever you want to say. Okay, so just select the console and hit play. Just wait for to compile, and you will able to see that. Okay, so what we gonna do, we're gonna select the console and hit play. Okay, select the console and hit play, and press, hold down left mouse button. If we press the left mouse button, we will able to see that message will print out in the console. As you can see, the gun is rotating around the mouse cursor. Okay, and if we press the left mouse button, as you can see, shooting message printing out in the console. Okay, multiple times whenever we press the left mouse button. So what we're gonna do, instead of printing out message, what we're gonna do, we're gonna shoot the bullet. Okay, we're gonna shoot projectile bullet, something like that. So we need to create first that. Okay, we need to create first that, and we're gonna make a in the gun, we're gonna make a shoot point. From that point we're gonna shoot out that bullet. Okay, we're gonna shoot out that bullet from that point. Before that we need to make the bullet. So go to hierarchy, right click, 2D object. Okay, and go to sprite and select the circle one. We're gonna name it something like bullet. Okay, and we're gonna go over to transform and scale. We're gonna make it less, 0.5 in the x and 0.5 in the y. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we name it bullet. We're gonna add two components to this game object. Firstly the rigid body one, and we're gonna set it to gravity scale to 0, so it will not fall down due to gravity. And the second thing, we're gonna add for collision detection circle collider. Okay, so hit this add component, and we're gonna add rigid body 2D, and we're gonna set the gravity scale to 0, so it will not fall down due to gravity. And we're gonna set the collision detection to continuous, so it will continuously detect the collision. And we're gonna add another component which is circle collider 2D. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna set this is triggered to true, basically checked. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we need to make prefab, basically means copy of this game object. So go to project tab and go to assets. Okay, create a folder prefab, name that folder to prefab, and select the bullet. Okay, and drag it into that folder. Okay, into that folder. So we have created, now we can delete from the scene view. Okay, and we can directly drag from the prefab folder. So if we delete from the scene view, and we can drag into the scene view by directly dragging it. So that is the reason to make it prefab. Okay, so instead of printing out message, what we're gonna do, we're gonna shoot out that bullet. So what we need, we need that bullet, okay, bullet prefab and the shoot point, okay, from where we want to shoot out. So go to gun sprite, okay, make a child game object into this gun, okay, right click on gun game object and create an empty game object, okay, empty child game object, name it something like shoot point or fire point, it's up to you, and drag it in top of the gun, okay, and we're gonna select an icon, go to inspector, select an icon. So we're gonna shoot out, we're gonna spawn that bullet from this position, okay. So we need this position as well as this bullet game object because we want to shoot out that. So we're gonna open up the shooting script once again, double click that to open up in Visual Studio, okay, double click that to open up in Visual Studio. As you can see, what if we gonna do, instead of printing out message, we're gonna shoot out that bullet. So we need that bullet prefab game object as well as the point from where we want to shoot out. So we're gonna make two variables in the top, and the bullet prefab is also an game object, so that's why we have to type game object, and we're gonna call it something like bullet prefab or bullet, you can call anything you like, okay, and close that off with semicolon. And we also need that point, okay. So we need that transform. So transform basically means the position, and we made it public so we can set in the inspector transform, and we're gonna call it something like shoot point, okay, shoot point or fire point, and close that off with semicolon and control s on your keyboard to save this and head again to Unity. So we need to drag in that field. So in the shoot script we will able to see two fields. So firstly the game object, which is bullet prefab. So what we need to drag this bullet prefab into that field. Then we will have the bullet as well as the shoot point, we need to drag in that shoot point position, okay. So just wait for to compile and you will able to see that. Then we can spawn the bullet in that shoot point, okay. So that's why. So in shooting script, okay, just wait for to compile. As you can see, bullet prefab, which is none, basically empty. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go to that, we're gonna drag that bullet into that bullet prefab game object. Now we have the bullet. We also need to drag the shoot point into shoot point slot. Now we have the bullet as well as the shoot point. Now we can spawn that. So we're gonna go over to, instead of printing out message over here, as you can see, we're gonna use this function instantiate, okay. So the instantiate function will take three arguments, okay. Firstly it will take the game object you want to instantiate, so we definitely gonna instantiate that bullet prefab. And second thing, it will take the point from where you want to shoot out that bullet prefab. So we're gonna shoot out that bullet prefab from shoot point position. And third thing, it will take the direction or rotation. So we're gonna shoot out the bullet in the direction of the shoot point, whatever the shoot point, so whatever direction shoot point is facing, in that direction we're gonna shoot out that bullet game object. So we have to pass shoot point dot rotation, okay. So firstly we want to we want to instantiate this bullet prefab game object as a first argument it will take, and we're gonna shoot out that from our shoot point, okay, shoot point dot position, and as a third argument it will take the rotation. So in the direction of shoot point we're gonna shoot out that bullet, okay, whatever the shoot point facing, in that direction we're gonna shoot out that bullet game object. So we have to pass shoot point dot position, shoot point dot rotation, okay, whatever the shoot point facing, rotation, and close that off with semicolon and control s on your keyboard to save this and head again to Unity. So what that function is doing, whenever we press the left mouse button, we calling this shoot function, and this shoot function basically instantiated, basically spawning that bullet prefab game object in the position, shoot point position with shoot point rotation, as you can see in the shoot point rotation, okay. So control s on your keyboard to save this and head again to Unity, okay, head again to Unity, and you will able to see that. Just wait for to compile, okay. And now if we hit play, okay, now if we go to Unity editor once again, and if we hit play, okay, if we hit play and if we press the left mouse button, we will able to see that bullet prefab game object will spawn in the point of shoot point position, okay, and the with rotation, shoot point rotation, whatever the rotation facing, the shoot point facing rotation, okay, as you can see. But as you can see, whenever we press, it's spawning, but it's not moving. So what we gonna do? So we need to go to this bullet. Okay, whatever we instantiated this bullet game object. So we need to go, we're gonna go over to that game object. So if I select the bullet prefab, we're gonna go over to rigid body of that bullet, and we're gonna set the rigid body velocity. Okay, we're gonna access the velocity by rigid body, and we're gonna set the velocity in the direction of the shoot point with some unit. Okay, so what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to script once again. Over here, as you can see, we're instantiating that bullet, spawning that bullet. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna store this bullet into another game object. Okay, uh, so we're gonna, that will be game object, and we're gonna call it something like temp for temporary equal to this. So whatever we instantiating, we storing that bullet into this temp game object, and what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to rigid body of that bullet, whatever we instantiated. Okay, so we have to type temp dot get component. We're gonna get the component, and the type of the component is rigid body. Okay, we are trying to get the rigid body component, and you have to make this first bracket dot, and we're gonna access the velocity of that rigid body, and we're gonna set equal to, we're gonna set shoot point. Okay, we're gonna firstly go to shoot point dot transform. Okay, dot right. Basically we are in the direction of shoot point. Basically whatever direction shoot point is facing, in that direction we're gonna set the velocity of that bullet. Okay, whatever we instantiated. So we're gonna multiply with some unit. So we're gonna make a float variable, and we're gonna make it public so we can adjust in the inspector. Okay, so public, that will be float, and you can call it something like bullet speed, velocity of bullet, something like that. So I'm going to call it speed of bullet, or bullet. Okay, something like that. And by default I am going to set it to something like 5f. Okay, you can adjust in the inspector, so that's why I made it public. So we're gonna go over here once again, and we're gonna multiply the direction with our speed of bullet. Okay, speed of bullet, and close that off semicolon. So what we doing, whatever we instantiating over here, as you can see, we instantiating the bullet prefab in the shoot point position with shoot point rotation, and we storing this bullet into game object, another game object. Okay, temp for short of temporary, and we are trying to getting the rigid body of that bullet, whatever we instantiated, and we accessing the velocity, and we are setting the velocity in the direction of whatever direction shoot point is facing with a speed of bullet velocity. As you can see, by default we set it to 5, so it will go to 5 unit every single frame. Okay, so in the direction of shoot point it's facing. Okay, so we are setting the velocity whatever we instantiated. Okay, control S on your keyboard to save this and add again to Unity. So if we hit play in the top, and if we press the left mouse button, the bullet will go with 5 unit. Okay, because and we are setting the velocity of that bullet, whatever we instantiated, we setting that bullet in the direction of shoot point, whatever direction shoot point is facing. Okay, so just wait for to compile, and you will able to see that. Okay, so just wait for to compile, and if I hit play, okay, if I hit play, and if I press the left mouse button, okay, if I press the left mouse button, the bullet will go with 5 unit in that direction. Okay, we setting the whatever we instantiated, we just setting the velocity of that bullet in the direction of shoot point. As you can see, by 5 unit this bullet is going. Okay, this bullet in the direction of shoot point, as you can see. Okay, so but we also need to destroy this bullet after some time. Okay, as you can see, we are not destroying that bullet. Okay, so the game will be laggy because it will hold too many game objects in the scene. Okay, our hierarchy. So that's why we need to delete this after some time. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna go over to script once again, and over here in the bottom, okay, we're gonna destroy, we have to use this destroy function. Okay, destroy function, we're gonna destroy the tame. Okay, basically as you can see over here, whatever we instantiating that bullet, and we storing that bullet into this tame container. It work like container tame game object, as you can see. So we also need to delete this tame container or tame game object after some time. Okay, so destroy function will take the game object you want to destroy, and the second parameter you can specify the time when you need to destroy. So we're gonna destroy something like 5 second, 5f. Okay, and close that off with semicolon, and control S on your keyboard to save this. Okay, so you can make a float variable. float variable. Okay, you can make a float variable, you can call it something like time. So we're gonna make it so we can adjust in the inspector. Okay, and we're gonna make it public float, and we're gonna call it something like time to destroy. Okay, destroy time of that bullet, you can call anything you like. So I'm going to call time to destroy. Okay, time to destroy, and by default you can set it to 5 unit. Okay, 5f. So I'm gonna replace this 5f with the time to destroy. Okay, after 5 seconds the game object will destroy, the time game object will also be destroyed after 5 seconds. By default we set time to destroy 5 unit. Okay, control s on your keyboard to save this and add again to unity. So whenever we press the left mouse button, the bullet will firstly spawn in the direction of the shoot point. It will go in the shoot point rotation direction. Okay, and it will go with 5 speed of bullet, and after 5 seconds we destroying that game object. But you can specify the time in the inspector, that's why we made it public, time to destroy. Okay, you can specify the time over here, just wait for to compile. And if I select the player game object, okay, as you can see time to destroy which is 5, and if I hit play you can specify the time. It's up to you how many after some amount of type you want to destroy that game object. Okay, so just wait for to compile and you will able to see that. Okay, so if I press the left mouse button, okay, if I press the left mouse button, as you can see the bullet is spawning in the point of shoot point. And as you can see after 5 seconds the bullet clone destroying, as you can see in the hierarchy, as you can see after 5 seconds it will be destroyed itself. Okay, I hope you get the idea of this bullet spawning. If you are new to my channel, then subscribe for upcoming tutorials. Okay,